You always know what to say to friends, to strangers, sometimes even to people who hurt you. You can see their situation clearly. You can explain their emotions better than they can. But when it comes to your own life, your choices, your habits, your pain, that clarity disappears. You already know the advice, so why can't you follow it? That question stays quiet, but it never really leaves. In daily life, it shows up in small moments. You tell a friend exactly how to leave a toxic relationship, then stay silent in your own. You explain boundaries beautifully, then let yours dissolve the moment someone pushes. You give logical, balanced advice, but your own decisions feel foggy, emotional, heavy. Later, you replay it in your head. Why can't I apply what I already understand? It starts to feel personal, like a character flaw. You begin to split yourself in two: the advisor, who sees clearly, and the person who feels stuck. Over time, this gap shapes your identity. You become the strong one, the listener, the emotionally intelligent one. But privately, your self-talk turns sharp. If I'm so self-aware, why am I still here? Psychologically, this pattern often overlaps with traits like high empathy, strong perspective taking, and a heightened sensitivity to social cues. The very skills that help you guide others start working against you. But the reason isn't what you think, and the explanation doesn't start with motivation. It starts with how the brain protects itself. Here's the part most people never hear. This pattern doesn't mean you lack discipline, or courage, or willpower. It means your brain learned something early. Helping others felt safe. Helping yourself felt risky, so your nervous system adapted. You didn't become stuck by accident. You became useful. From a psychological standpoint, this isn't dysfunction. It's an intelligent strategy, one that just hasn't updated yet. And to understand why it still runs your life, we have to look at what happens in the brain when the advice is about you. When you give advice to someone else, your brain stays in observer mode. This activates the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for reasoning, planning, and long-term thinking. Distance creates clarity. But when the situation involves you, the brain switches systems. Emotional memory activates. The amygdala flags risk. Old associations wake up. Suddenly, this isn't a problem to solve. It's a threat to survive. Here's a simple metaphor. Think of your mind like a control room. When advising others, you're at the control panel, calm, zoomed out, analytical. When advising yourself, the alarms are already blaring. You're inside the system you're trying to fix. Another mental model helps here. Imagine carrying two backpacks. One is light. It holds logic, words, ideas. That's the backpack you use for others. The second is heavy. It's filled with emotional memory, past consequences, attachment fears, identity threats. That one is yours. Advice doesn't fail because it's wrong. It fails because it never reaches the system in control. So the question becomes, how do you speak to your brain without triggering its defenses? That's where the real work begins. This isn't about forcing discipline. It's about working with your psychology. Here's a framework grounded in cognitive science and behavioral psychology. Step 1. Stop asking, "What should I do?" Instead, ask, "What does my brain think is at risk right now?" Why this works? The brain resists advice when it senses threat, loss of belonging, identity, or safety. Naming the perceived risk reduces amygdala activation. Real-life example. Instead of telling yourself to leave a draining situation, you ask, "What am I afraid will happen if I do?" Loneliness, disapproval, uncertainty. Once named, the fear loses intensity. Curiosity disarms defense. Step 2. Translate advice into environment, not willpower. Advice is abstract. The brain responds to context. Behavioral psychology shows that environment shapes behavior more reliably than intention. What to do? Change the setup, not the self-talk. Why it works? This bypasses emotional overload and reduces decision fatigue. Example, instead of telling yourself to set boundaries, you limit access. Shorter replies, fewer explanations, clearer schedules. No internal debate required. The brain follows paths of least resistance. Step 3. Externalize the decision. Your brain struggles when it must be both the judge and the defendant. So remove the decision from your identity. What to do? Write the advice you'd give someone else. Then treat it as a policy, not a feeling. Why it works? This activates the observer network again and reduces emotional entanglement. Example, if a situation causes X for more than Y weeks, the policy is to step back. No arguing with moods. Structure replaces self-negotiation. Your advice is usually correct, but too big for the nervous system to accept. What to do? Shrink the action until it feels almost insignificant. Why it works? Small actions avoid threat detection and build trust with your own brain. Example, not change your life, but send one honest message, or take one quiet walk without input. Safety precedes change. Your brain learns through emotional feedback. What to do? After any action, notice relief, not outcomes. Why it works? Relief signals safety to the nervous system, rewiring avoidance patterns. Example, you set one boundary. Nothing dramatic happens, but you breathe easier. That's the data your brain needs. All of this comes back to one idea. You don't need better advice. You need psychological distance from your own pain. When you create distance, through naming fear, shaping environment, and externalizing decisions, clarity returns. Think of it as learning to step half a step outside yourself, not to escape, but to see. The same mind that helps everyone else is still there. It just needs a safer way to speak. There's nothing ironic about your struggle. It makes sense. You learn to survive by understanding others. Now, you're learning to include yourself. And that shift doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly, in small choices that feel almost invisible. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to listen to the part of you that's been protecting you all along. Sometimes, the most intelligent mind is the last one to receive its own care. And that's not weakness, that's adaptation.